And let's jump to our first question. I'm just switching over to my questions. This actually came in last week in one of our events, and I just thought it was a really good question from an individual named Heather. And her question to me was, I'm working on a proposal and want to get it out really quickly. I'm offering two fee options, a flat fee and a percentage of first year guaranteed comp. In reviewing an article from your blog, you highlighted and provided support for the magic number of 28.6% fee. Should I just share what goes on at the 28.6 in offering a flat fee? How do you calculate it? And would you require a contract for multiple positions throughout the year? I worked with a firm who set their fee for each position at work because we filled nearly 20 positions for this company that year. Your thoughts, please. And my opinion is and I did talk to this individual at our event, so I got a little more clarification. They had not talked to the hiring manager yet, or they talked to somebody who's going to be influential in the hiring process, and they wanted to say, look, before, pretty much, maybe these weren't the words, I got to know what the fees are before we go any farther. And I go, it's a game you can't win. It's a game you can't win unless you're just going to lowball the fee, which is why it's a game you can't win, because if you win it at that, you lose. So I never, caps bold red, never quote fees until I diagnose a problem, uncover what's going on in the situation, talk to a hiring manager. I'm not going to quote fees if I have a conversation with HR. And for those who've been around for a while, we use this term, strategic triangle. What I would do in the situation is get back a hold of that person and say, look, we can't go any further on price, and say, look, I respect that. I don't know how to price this. I don't know the complexity of the situation. There were, from what I understood, 3 senior level executive positions. I go, I don't care what she expects. I go, you can use this strategy to your benefit in that anyone, in my humble opinion, anyone who quotes you price understanding what the complexity of the problem is negligent, and I would question them as a service provider. Let's invest X amount of time. Let's go through what you're looking for, the timetables, the complexity of what you're getting done. Is your expectation from a compensation, duties, responsibility standpoint in alignment with the marketplace and compensation? Because quite frankly, if you're out of alignment with your compensation structure as it relates to your expectations for what the candidate's background is going to be, at 100% fee, I don't think I can fill it. And it would be negligent on my part to tell you that I can do. So as it relates to that part of the question, it's at the end of that diagnosis where I begin my prescription. So if I can fully identify what they're looking for, the duties, the responsibilities, the selling points, I can see based on my knowledge of the marketplace that there's a relative realism between their comp and their expectations. And then I want to identify what is the pain of this position remaining open. Each incremental month, what does not occur in your company if this position is not filled? What does not happen? What are the consequences? This is where a lot of recruiters don't spend time. And you'll be surprised when you dig into those areas. One, you'll notice the hiring manager hasn't really thought about it. They're overwhelmed with so many other things, they haven't really thought about it. And our job as true professionals is to slow them down, because if you hear as a recruiter, I don't care if it takes 6 or 8 months, Mike, it's more important that we find the right person and then getting this job done. Run away from that opening. There is no urgency. They are going to look for Mr. or Ms. Perfect. How can I tell you that? Because I took a lot of those openings. Contingency and retained. Not many retained, because I learned my lessons in that you're just going to be a market researcher for them. And probably the person that they would have hired while they were looking for Ms. or Ms. Perfect, and they'll want to revisit that person. That person we interviewed 3 months ago, are they still available? They're probably the best. No, they're gone. They're gone. You're providing, especially on contingency benchmarks, low likelihood of fulfillment. On the second part of the question, if I did flat fees, which I have done, in my head, again, we knew our metrics. I knew how much it was, but if it was, I'm just going to use a round number of 100K salary, and I would do that at 28.6%. So that's $20,000. I wouldn't, if I'm going to discount it with money up front or on contingency, I might say we will do the first two at 28,000, but the next two at 26,650. Again, I don't like using round numbers, and the next two and very small incremental discounts based on the closing of the activity. Not, oh, okay, you'll make us aware of 10 positions. We'll do them all for 25,000. You might only make one or two placements, and you've given them a quantity discount. So when I did flat fees, I usually did our first couple at our normal fee, the next couple at a discount, if I'm going to do it that way, and I compress it into a time frame. These must be closed over a 6-month period, 8-month period, 12-month period, not into perpetuity. And then the clock resets at the end of that period, because a quantity discount spread out over 5 years for a handful of positions, it's not what I think most of us want. So those are the two. Great question, Heather. Those are the two answers, but never quote price without doing a diagnostic. If they go, look, I won't talk to you until you let us know what your fee is. Then I go, if I'm hearing you correctly, 100% of your decision is based on the price. And based on that, what I know is going to happen is I'm going to lose, because I'm rarely, if ever, the cheapest on the front end. And this, notice these words, cheapest on the front end. I know I'm usually always the least expensive on the back end. And that's a conversation you're not even willing to have. So then I'm going to respectfully pass. If they let you pass after that kind of justification, you're dealing with somebody who's buying on price. And if some of you might sell on price, I used to early in my career, I almost starved. When I shifted to value is when my billing skyrocketed. So again, Heather, thanks for that great question, but there's some quick tips going forward.